Alun's been enlightened.
Play the theme music. Hello and welcome to this episode of Tripology. I'm Alun and I am here with the ever claustrophobic Adam.
I didn't think I was claustrophobic until today, mate, because for those video viewers out there, you'll be able to see that we're in a pretty tiny room and the walls feel like they're getting closer.
This is the smallest room I've ever been in because I've been
that you've ever been in.
And I've been in some fucking rooms in my time, let me tell you.
And we're paying money for it as well, I'll have you know.
The room is just a bed and then 4 walls, and that is it. That's the sum total. There's a space enough around the bed that you can disembark the bed.
Yeah, on one side, on your left-hand side, you can maybe get a leg down there.
It's remarkable.
It's so small. It is just 4 walls around a double bed with a little bit of breathing space. I'm not even sure how they got the bed in here.
I noticed when we checked in that there was a little, like a card on the wall.
Yeah.
And it said, in as many words, if you've booked online, you waive the right to see the room before paying.
Oh, right. Okay.
And as soon as I saw that, I thought,
there must have been a few instances where people have come here after booking online, seen the room and thought, do you know what? Maybe I'll swerve it.
Yeah, it's not going to be one of those where people book online, come and see the room and then go, oh my God, I've really got a bargain on the internet. I'm going to recommend this to all my friends. So yeah, it's kind of like the opposite of a TARDIS. It's smaller on the inside than it could possibly appear to be on the outside.
Yeah, it's quite funny. I mean, the bathroom is also really small, but it's probably about 75% of the room. So we're cozy.
Truly remarkable.
Safe to say. At least it's also 35 degrees.
Yeah, I mean, goodness me, the heat continues. We're in Kolkata.
We are.
And I'm feeling especially cozy in your company because it has been a little while. We had a brief hiatus where we were having to put out these ghosts from our past of Tripology episodes, things that we've compiled. But right now, traveling again together in the same space. It's been a few weeks since we've seen each other, and it's so beautiful to have you next to me again.
Oh, I've loved it, mate. I was wishing away the days.
Isn't it great?
It is. I flew into Kolkata just 2 days ago. Flight was delayed no more than 3 times.
That's a real strain, isn't it?
It is. It was one of those annoying delays as well. It wasn't one delay and they give you a delay of like 2.5 hours. It was one delay of 40 minutes. And then an hour later, they delay it again for another 50 minutes. And then when the flight is due to take off, we still haven't boarded yet. I mean, I'm watching out the window of the airport in Mumbai. The plane's not even there. They haven't even taxied over to where we're supposed to board. So I can deduce from that we're definitely not leaving anytime soon. And then some people at the airport started screaming at the airline staff. I've never seen so many people gang up on airline staff like that.
Yeah.
It was quite an exceptional thing to witness.
What are you like in those scenarios? Are you very zen? Are you just like, okay, whatever will be, there's no way I can make this plane move faster? Or are you like trying to figure out, like looking at your watch, trying to figure it all out?
Well, I would say something that might be able to resonate with a lot of people. It's quite an obscure observation about myself. If there are other people who are more angry and irate at the situation than I am, I'm really calm. And I just take it for what it is.
Because you feel like the anger is being done elsewhere.
Yeah, I think so. They're representing all of us as passengers.
Yeah.
Whereas if no one is saying anything, then I'm livid.
How is no one saying anything?
Yeah. So I don't know why, because the problem is still the same.
Yeah,
but
totally.
Maybe my emotions are just governed by others.
I think that's maybe a true thing about you. You're an empathetic person. I think you're sensitive to the room. But this is, I think in this context where everyone's being quiet, you feel like you have to be the one to sort of leverage the voice of the people.
But maybe it goes a little bit deeper than that as well, because I don't know whether I feel completely comfortable shouting at airline staff in the middle of an airport in Mumbai as a white guy, the one white guy on the flight, when I'm surrounded by, 300 Indians or whatever. I don't want to be the one to march over and start I wouldn't address it in that way, but I mean, it was an incredible thing to witness. Yeah. I agree with everything they were saying, obviously.
You do. You were on the side of the people, not the side of the airline staff.
Because one thing I found is that expectations are everything. when it comes to how things unfold and whether you get or whether I get angry or not. I was recently on a train from Goa up to Mumbai, and it was delayed by 4 hours, and we weren't told anything.
For a lucky man, you've had some unlucky situations thrown at you.
I know. Delays seem to be the theme of the last few weeks for me, but that was what annoyed me the most about that train journey, was sitting on the track just an hour away from where we departed on what was going to become a 12.5-hour journey. But for 4 of those hours, we were just sitting in the middle of nowhere with no information as to why we'd stopped.
And no one says anything. No one takes the initiative to say what is actually going on here.
Yeah, why aren't people communicating that to the customers? And I think if I had been told a little bit of information, even if it was, I'm really sorry, the train's going to be delayed here by 6 hours, but it's because of X, Y, Z, maybe it would have been easier to swallow. I don't know.
Stomach it. Yeah, maybe. Information is power, and when you've got no information, you ain't got no power, mate.
I even feel like that on a flight when there's turbulence. I just wish the pilot would get on the tannoy and say, look, Mr. Adam in seat number 32B, I can see you're sweating. All right, we know you're not the biggest fan of flying, but don't worry, this is completely normal. If it was that bad, we wouldn't have taken off.
Look out of the window, notice the plane still has both its wings. It will be fine. No worries. Remain zen.
But no, all that to say, basically, I've really missed you, mate, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you back, and I hope we hear what you've been up to.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you can notice this about me. I might have somewhat of a illuminated aura about myself because since you left my company, since we parted ways briefly, I've done nothing but invest in my own spiritual well-being.
Amazing. We know that about you. We can see how you're sitting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is not even half lotus, not even full lotus. I'm sort of like a child on a primary school carpet, just desperate to cross my legs.
Waiting for his milk, yeah.
But yeah, I thought, what an amazing opportunity. I'm traveling on my lonesome. Why not just go on a spiritual quest around India that looked like visiting some of the big spiritual hubs of this country. Pushkar, which is an amazing Hindu kind of town city where Brahma was said to have created the first lake, and there's lots of cool temples and stuff there. I went to Varanasi, which is famous as being a conduit where people can be cremated and enter the next life. You'll see these Hindu cremations on the river Ganges.
Yeah, so you saw that then, I assume?
I saw that very confronting sight. I had seen human cremations before in Nepal.
Right.
This was very similar, but it's the most famous place where this act takes place.
Sure. Lots of our listeners might be aware of that anyway, but are they open cremations?
Yeah, they are. There's like a procession where they like create, I mean, there's lots of flowers and music, and they're holding up the bodies all wrapped and swindled, and they take them to the swaddled. Take them to
So is it somewhat of a celebration?
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because it's like a very sought after place to move into the next life. So it's really a celebration that this person's died and now will be able to pass on into the next life in a quite vibrant, beautiful way.
Wow. It's perfectly acceptable to just sort of walk down to the
riverside.
There's
lots of people watching every day, yeah.
That's incredible. Is it busy?
Yeah, quite busy.
Blimey.
I actually took a bath in the Ganges in that same area the next day as well, which was, I mean...
downstream.
Less beautiful in a lot of ways. If sometimes challenging, morbid, difficult things to observe can be beautiful. Wow, this thing that we know as being so like strange, but an experience we all share, death, the moving on, is portrayed in this beautiful way where people are weeping tears of joy as their relatives go to the next life. If that's a beautiful amelioration of a horrible thing, death.
Yeah.
Bathing in the Ganges is one of the most brutal sights of something which should be quite normalized, having a bath.
Yeah, totally, yeah. So you did that. How deep did you go in?
I can only go to my thighs, mate, because I didn't want any mucous membranes to touch the Ganges. It's one of the most polluted rivers in the world. Yeah. You've
done your research beforehand, I imagine. I mean, you haven't said this on the podcast many times, but you do care about your health a lot. You know that, and germs, and you know a lot about that sort of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm
did you do your research?
Plunges in and like do things outside my comfort zone, but this is like 100 times more polluted than humans are supposed to come into contact with.
Yeah.
I mean, look.
It's enough to put you off.
It's a spiritual place.
Yeah.
They believe it washes away the sins.
Mm-hmm.
I think all power to him going and having a bath there.
Yeah.
It's not the healthiest place to swim.
No, sure.
In my opinion.
Did you feel some sort of physiological skin irritation, or
I felt a sensation, and it was either my sins leaving my body or a pathogen-associated itch. And I'm not sure which one, but it was one of those things. I felt very itchy after taking a bath.
Crikey! Did you feel any pressure to do that, or is it something you'd wanted to do for a long time?
I just knew that this was a place where people bathed in the Ganges. I was on this spiritual journey. I was seeing these cremations. I wanted to immerse myself in the culture, and I thought, go on, I'll also take a brief bath. And I'm glad I did it. I actually felt like I obviously don't necessarily have an opinion or a belief about whether my sins can leave my body because of the flow of water over me. But what I do think is being confronted by going into the water that I wasn't that comfortable going into, and then standing with a load of other people taking a bath. It was quite a nice experience. I definitely did feel some sort of spiritual connectivity.
Oh, nice. Were you well accepted by the people that were staring at you, no doubt?
Certainly. I was offered bars of soap. I was offered little cuddles. I was offered everything.
Cuddles as well?
Yeah.
It's not every day you find yourself along the side of the gadget. Naked as well, were you?
Well, I wasn't naked. I was wearing clothes, but everyone else was naked. I was the only person with shorts on.
Wow. That's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, it was cool.
You glad you did it in hindsight?
Definitely. So it was part of a wider spiritual journey.
Yeah.
One of the main things I was trying to do was visit the other 3 main pilgrimage sites for Buddhists.
Cool.
Because you know that I went to Lumbini in Nepal.
Where he was born?
Yeah, that's where Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, was born.
Excellent,
but
we're learning.
When he was about to die, he also said, all Buddhists, all my followers, should go to these other sites. They should go to the site where I achieved enlightenment.
Yeah.
The site where I taught my first sermon.
Nice.
And the place where I'm about to die.
Right.
So... Wow. Those 3 sites are really important for Buddhists. Yeah. And over the last few weeks, I've visited all of them. I've completed my Buddhist pilgrimage.
Yeah. You were due one?
A pilgrimage?
yeah. A Buddhist pilgrimage.
Yeah.
That's great that you've ticked them off. Did you find anyone else along the way who was doing a similar thing?
Mate, I tell you what you don't find at Buddhist pilgrimage sites. And that's white people. I don't think I saw another traveller at any of those places.
My goodness.
Genuinely. I went to some remote places. I went to Bodh Gaya. That's where I actually got to sit under the Bodhi tree.
Oh, yeah.
That Buddha became enlightened under.
Yeah, my goodness.
And it's the same root system because Ashoka, this emperor, took one of the branches to Sri Lanka. His daughter did. And then they cultivated that tree. Yeah. And then years later brought it back. So it's actually the oldest consecutively documented tree in the world.
Well, how interesting.
And I got to sit under it, have a meditate.
Was there an aura?
Do you know what? Because I've now been to all 3 of these sites, and I don't even need to go into detail about all of them specifically, because they all had very much the same vibe. This cultural figure, Siddhartha Gautama, he had important parts of his life in these places, and each of them carries this feeling that someone of historical importance with interesting philosophies hung out, went to these places, had a connection with them. And just to actually do the journey itself meant something to me, not because I identify as a Buddhist and because like now I'm going to go teach and believe and think about all these things, but because I think it just gave me a purpose to my travel. I was thinking about betterment, thinking about spirituality, going to these places, sitting under the Bodhi tree, looking at the place like, oh, this is where he traveled all the way. This is where he starved himself in this cave. This is where he finally came to rest. Just having this connection with a historical figure and thinking about myself really... Yeah, it was a positive experience.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know you're really interested in that sort of stuff. And when it comes to those places being tourist attractions, as it were, was there some sort of beauty in how unpopular they were, or, you know, the fact that there weren't hordes of tourists doing the same thing you were? They just, from what you've told me, they seem quite sort of, what would the word be? Just... There's not really much to do apart from that, and it's not built up to be this huge tourist attraction.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exactly the way that it was when he was there, perhaps.
I mean, look, times have changed, I'm sure, but I mean, it's preserved as a place that you go to do this pilgrimage. I will say this, nice that there aren't many tourists, but that does make me stand out more as the only tourist.
And infrastructure was difficult, was it?
Yeah, I mean, you had to stay in guest houses rather than hostels. Yeah. Getting there, it was very much local buses. Once you get there, it's like, oh my God, what are you doing here? I'm so happy you're here as a white tourist from the West, like coming to take interest in this Buddhist place. I thought that maybe going to see the Bodhi tree would be something that more people did, more travelers did, but seemingly quite untouched. I mean, it's a big temple complex, but there's not many people... who go and see it. A lot of it is like, you know, Cambodian Thai monks and...
Oh, yeah. And you can do all of that sort of stuff from Varanasi as a base?
So Sarnath is right next to Varanasi. That's the place where he taught his first sermon in a deer park.
Cool.
Kushinagar is like a day's trip. It's like a 5-hour journey away.
Okay.
And then Bodh Gaya, again, is like 3 hours. So
Right.
they're all quite close to the central hub.
Yeah, that's wicked. It's nice to know for the listener, of course, if you are interested in doing that sort of stuff, it's all there for you.
I really would recommend, like I say, just taking some stock, whether that has to be tied to a religion like Buddhism or not. What's been good for me is just taking 3 weeks to have a real purpose to my travel. I've like just set a goal.
Yeah.
I want to see this place, and this place, and I'm going to go. And the aim of my trip is going to be to think about my mind, how I can be a better person, all this stuff.
And talking about travel or the way that you've traveled specifically, obviously I wasn't there to be with you across that. Do you think that doing it alone, if you are interested in spirituality and Buddhism, is maybe the best way to do it?
It would have been nice to have people there as well, I'm sure, and share it with. But, you know, we live out of each other's pocket. We're together all the time. And being apart from you for this time was, you know, jarring in a sense. And so it was nice to use that time effectively you know, rather than try and replace the hole in my heart with a million other people. Just
With a new host of Tripology.
Yeah, I'm just like on my own now and just experience that, you know, a little bit of spirituality.
Oh, nice.
And my big takeaway before we head to the med break
Go on.
is just like, everything's okay. I don't need to beat myself up or question my actions or anything like that. So I think that we should just trust ourselves as we go forward. And anyone listening to this, whoever has doubts about what they do, if you fundamentally know that you try your best and the decisions you make in the moment are the best decisions you could be making in the moment, just be accountable for that and move on with your life. Don't worry so much about the things that haven't happened.
Yeah, what a sweet message. And if there was ever a reason to do a little pilgrimage like that, I think it's a lovely sentiment.
Let's think about it for a little while. Head to a meditation break. I'd like to take this opportunity to talk to you a little bit about a podcast platform that we recommend. We really like it. It's called Castbox.
It's an amazing platform where you can listen to all sorts of things, but we recommend you listen to Tripology.
Yeah, listen to Tripology on there. It's a cool platform. You can discover lots of new shows, all about travel, about society, culture, philosophy, all that stuff. We like it. We think it's a great platform. Listen to Tripology on there if you like.
And we'll stick all the information in the description.
Yeah.
Cheers.
And like your conscious mind returning into your brain after meditating under a Bodhi tree, we're back after a meditation break. Adam, this is the hottest I've ever been recording an episode of Tripology.
It's so difficult to get across to the listener what we're going through here, but because we have microphones that pick up sound,
yes,
you know, we can't have fans on, we can't have AC on. We're in a tiny, tiny little room talking as well. I'm sure there's some hot air coming out of our mouths.
Listen, I know we always say, oh, it's India. It's really hot in India. It's a really hot country. But this room is not only claustrophobic in the sense that it is very, very small, but it also appears to be bearing down the kind of irrepressible heat that I've never experienced before.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's making me think of other times I was uncomfortable.
If you're watching the video episode of this and thinking, wow, they look so hot and sweaty,
Yes.
It's because we're so hot and sweaty.
Mate, when I was doing this Buddhist pilgrimage, I was going all around the shop, right? And I was headed to Kushinagar.
Okay.
Kushinagar. It's the place where Buddha eventually passed.
Okay.
And it was the second place I went. So I'd been to Varanasi, I'd been to Pushkar, I'd been to Sarnath. Now I was heading to Kushinagar, and the jumping off point is a town called Gorakhpur.
Easy for you to say.
I know. So a lot of information thrown at the listener and you here. But basically, in order to get to Kushinagar where he died, I had to first go to Gorakhpur. I was going to stay the night there, get up in the morning, go to Kushinagar.
Nice.
I had a very brief period in which to do this because I then had to move on to Bodh Gaya to sit under the Bodhi tree and then come here to see you. And my Indian visa is expiring soon.
Yeah, you're on the clock.
It's a pressure cooker of situations. The reason I give so much context is because I had one day in which it was possible to go to Kushinagar.
Oh, right.
And I'd arrived in Gorakhpur.
Yeah.
And I was about to bed down for the evening.
Okay.
In a guest house, off the beaten track, you got the sense that they'd not had many Western travellers there before.
Okay.
Quite excited to have me stay there.
Yeah, lovely. How did you find said accommodation?
Just on the internet, on booking.com, you know, it was like one of only a few places that you could choose.
Yeah, that's
in
cool.
Gorakhpur. And I was excited. I had a real stringent plan laid out. I was like, I'm going to get up, I'm going to Google the bus station, go there, tick off on the journey to Kushinagar. It's only a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I'm going to like tick off all the places I want to go in Kushinagar, and then I'll come back here and get the bus in the evening, right?
Yeah, go
Easy
on.
plan.
Easy, is it that easy? It sounds like you haven't got...
So I bed down to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And the power goes out in the room, so the fan stops working. Much like I am now, I'm sweating. I'm like, oh God, this is so uncomfortable. Hopefully I fall asleep. Hopefully it's no problem.
Yeah, as you were going to sleep as well, I can imagine that was pretty uncomfortable.
Really annoying, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Then I hear and feel the unmistakable noise and sensation of a mosquito pecking away the nape of my neck as I'm trying to sleep.
Oh, no.
And you know that thing when a mosquito sort of gets you and you go, oh, right, you turn over, you try and ignore it, happens again, you see the bzzz,
the unmistakable sound of a mosquito near your ear.
So annoying. I'm like, I'm in this room with a goddamn mosquito. How many mosquitoes? I'm not going to get any sleep. How annoying.
Oh, hang on. And the power's gone out, so you can't even turn the light on to... okay, right. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just a problematic situation.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's too much for me. I'm stirring. I cannot sleep. And I look up and I see out of the corner of my eye, a high up window that I'd not noticed before that was propped open by a bottle.
Right, okay.
And I'm like, oh, well, that no wonder there's so many mosquitoes.
Yeah.
They're all flying in through this high up window.
Right.
So I get my phone, switch the torchlight on.
Yeah.
Really bleary eyed. I stand up on this chair in the corner of the room and I whip the bottle out of the window. The window slams shut. Amazing. Perfect. There'll still be mosquitoes, but hopefully they'll die off.
And it'll still be fucking hot, no doubt.
Now maybe potentially even hotter.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking it's a net positive. Now there won't be more mosquitoes added to the melee that was going on.
Yeah, okay.
Thank goodness. In the process of whipping the bottle down,
right,
I've got a tremendous amount of dust on my hands from the top of the windowsill.
Yeah.
I'm like covered in dust.
Sure.
So, right, no light in the room, take my phone torch, go to the bathroom, pop my phone torch there.
Yeah.
Start washing my hands in the sink.
Yeah.
Splash.
Oh dear.
My phone slides off where I put it into the toilet bowl. Submerged in water.
Oh no. How awful.
And I fish it out and you get like the last few flickers of life. A couple of text messages come through.
Oh shit.
And then off. No power. Enters into a permanent boot cycle.
Oh my God. How awful.
I tell you what, mate.
Go on.
So quickly do you realise that you can't do fuck all without a phone.
Yeah, I can imagine it happens pretty quick.
Because the whole way that I'd contextualised tomorrow's day goes out the fucking window. I don't know where the bus station is to go to Kushinagar. Sure, I can ask someone, but then what?
Yeah.
Then I'm in Kushinagar. I don't know how to get from the bus station in Kushinagar to the place where he actually died. Suddenly all of this becomes a real mess.
Was that your immediate thought, was tomorrow, rather than, arguably the even more immediate problem of my phone's absolutely
I was like,
chaotic.
what am I going to do?
Yeah.
What am I going to do for anything? Because I've only got the one day here. I've got to get back to Varanasi. Then I've got to go to Bodh Gaya. Then I've got to see you. I can't give myself, okay, just calm down, fix your phone for a day, then see it. What am I going to do?
How annoying.
It's really annoying. Because I don't even have a phone to Google how to repair my phone.
What time of night was this again?
I mean, we're talking like 3 a.m. at this point.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
So what happened next?
I did the best I could to just try and get some sleep. But I was so stressed and annoyed and like...
Still no power?
No power, yeah. No, the phone's out.
That's rubbish.
The power's out. Wake up the next morning, I think, God... maybe I can ask the guy at the hotel where I can get the phone fixed. He is gone. Like, I don't know where he's gone.
Oh, really?
So I just think my priority has to be fixing my phone because I can't do anything else.
Normally say a bag of rice, don't they?
Mate, it was KO to the point where I knew there was no amount of porous solid that was going to suck the moisture out because the phone was already a bit brutalized.
Oh, no.
I basically needed to get that sorted. So I I mean, at first I thought maybe I'd go to Kushinagar, raw dog it, no phone, and then when I come back, deal with the problem.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be what I would have told you to do. If I
In
could contact
hindsight,
you.
I'm so glad I didn't, because I'd have been lost as fucking Kushinagar.
Oh,
without my
really?
phone. Oh, yeah, 100%. So I went to...
You can't have made your bus, though, surely.
Well, I got up early.
Yeah.
I got up like 7 a.m.
Wow.
Just started walking, basically. Went to a few different hotels and guest houses, asked a reception. It turns out, fix my phone repair, need to fix this, does not work. The magic word, and maybe people who have been traveling a lot will know this.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to find the perfect word that is understood in multiple languages.
Okay.
In this context, the word I needed was maintenance.
Maintenance.
As soon as I held up my phone and said maintenance, they were like, "Oh, mobile phone maintenance."
Yeah, you should have said.
Yeah, wrote down an address. I was like, phone repair. They were like, foreign exchange.
Motorcycle repair?
Yeah.
No.
So I got to maintenance. They wrote down an address for me. I beelined to this market, and some guy was able to fix my phone in a couple of hours.
Really,
for
that quick?
5,000 rupees, about $50.
Oh, wow.
It
seems steep.
Yeah.
For someone who's not had to do that, it seems steep.
I actually know that it should be half that cost. It was expensive, but I needed it done there and then. I had no other options.
Yeah, crikey. Was he quite confident when you gave him the phone? Did you tell him the whole story? And
yeah,
he was
but
like,
of course.
I could do it.
He was confident, fixed it, but then there was water damage on one part, so he had to. Right. It was originally going to be less money, but he found something that needed else repairing. How do you know whether he's being honest? But you like to trust people.
Yeah, sure.
There's nothing I could do. I had to pay. If he'd said it was 10,000 rupees, I pretty much had no option.
Yeah, wow.
And it was the only mobile repair shop in the whole place at that time. By the time he'd repaired it, about 1 million other mobile phone repair shops had opened up all around.
Yeah.
But at the time I arrived there, it was just that one. So,
God, how inconvenient, mate. I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
Was able to repair the phone and was able to make it. I arrived in Kushinagar that day at 12 p.m.
Jesus.
I got a lot done that morning.
Mike, there you go.
There you go. So despair not. There's always an option.
What were you feeling? Did you ever once feel like you would just have to write Kushinagar off?
It just wasn't an option for me because they'd like come so far, and it had been something that I'd had in my head ever since Lumbini back in like November.
Yeah,
I knew that I'd wanted to go. So I was definitely going to make it happen, even if I had to like go back to Varanasi without a phone, which would have been a real nightmare. So no, I'm glad I did it.
So the moral of the story is, let the mosquitoes eat you up.
I think you've got to try and take a lesson. I think I was on my phone too much. I was glad to have a detox from my phone for half a day.
Right, sure.
Completely.
Yeah.
And then you're so grateful to have a working phone at that point that the whole journey to Kushinagar, I had my phone in my fanny pack, didn't listen to music, didn't listen to radio. I didn't want to get my phone out for fear of it breaking.
Oh, right.
So I definitely kind of reset my phone use.
That's so funny.
And I've not taken a phone with me into a bathroom since.
No, I don't blame you. I'm sure that is one of many, many stories that our listeners will be able to relate to.
I wonder how many phones have been felled by toilets in the history of the human race.
I mean, it's not like just a little sprinkle, is it, if you drop it in a toilet? It's to getting dunked. The phone's getting dunked.
Submersion.
Yeah.
I could see it there. And the background of my phone is the tripology psychedelic sort of background. Just see that there in a pitch black bathroom with the power out. Just these psychedelic colours under the water. I was like, oh no.
It had been flushed beforehand, I assume.
Yeah. No, it had. Of course it had.
Phew. Because you were quick to fish it out.
You can't complain either. When your phone's KO'd, you can't like go on to your best mate and be like, oh mate, I've had a really bad night. You know? You're isolated. You're completely isolated. You have to deal with the trauma.
I'll just bury this until we record an episode about it. Because it is the first time I'm hearing of this story. I would have been none the wiser.
I've saved that one for you. But you know what? All that made Kushinagar and then Bodh Gaya and all that stuff a little bit better somehow. I feel like I'd worked for it. I'd solved a problem. I'd done some cool stuff.
Oh, good for you. And took loads of pictures.
Yeah, took loads of pictures. We can share those with our listeners.
Is it as good as new, your phone, then?
Mate, it's working so much better than it ever has.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Whole new screen, whole new front. The only thing that doesn't work anymore is Face ID because it knows that it's got a third-party like thing. It's like, this screen isn't from Apple.
Yeah. Oh, that's very intelligent of the phone, I think.
Yeah.
Nice one. Well, I'm sorry to deal with that.
Well, yeah, but as part of, I've had a really cool time, man. Problems, no problems, just traveling around, doing the spiritual adventures, been really cool. It's so glad to see you again. I'll extend out to the listeners, if they're interested in any of these places, Bodh Gaya, Sarnath, Kushinagar, Lumbini, the Buddhist pilgrimage sites, so they're interested in doing a sort of Buddhist pilgrimage of their own, reach out to us, tripologypodcast@gmail.com, or share a time where you've been especially spiritual, when you've thought, oh God, I really want to delve into my own mind, change some stuff around. I want to hear those stories.
Yeah, and also we've got a little section after this called The Lost and Found that you can find us on patreon.com/tripologypodcast, where we do a little even more relaxed, probably even hotter.
Yeah, we'll keep on talking about all sorts of different things. Yeah, goodness me, there's not much more we can say in this oppressive heat, apart from catch us next week, because we're traveling together now. We're doing some crazy stuff again. I think there's another country on the horizon. We're heading in a direction, and that direction is east. Let's go.
We'll see you there.
Bye.